Okay, let's call this to order. First off is the public hearing. The City of Parksville recognizes the people of the Coast Salish Nations and their traditional territory upon which we gather with gratitude. I'm calling the public hearing for Monday, October the 3rd to order and ask the corporate officer to introduce the public hearing.
Thank you. The Local Government Act requires a public hearing be held before council adopts an amendment to the zoning bylaw or official community plan bylaw. Hard copies of the staff reports and related information respecting the subject amendment bylaws have been available for public examination at City Hall located at 100 Judson Avenue East in the Parksville Civic and Technology Center, September 8th. At this public hearing, all persons who believe their interests in the property to be affected by the proposed bylaw shall be afforded an opportunity to be heard on matters contained within the bylaw. Anyone wishing to be heard on the bylaw amendment must come to the microphone at the appropriate time and clearly state their name and civic address or city of residence. Council requests speakers restrict their presentation to the proposed bylaw. The purpose of this public hearing is for council to hear from interested persons in relation to the impact of the proposed bylaw on their property. Council's authority is limited to regulation in relation to the use of land. Council does not have the authority to regulate in relation to the user of land. As such, council requests speakers restrict their presentations to the proposed bylaw and the uses permitted under that bylaw, and refrain from any comments in relation to possible users of the subject property. Council will not tolerate inappropriate personal attacks or comments which are discriminatory or defamatory. The function of council this afternoon is to listen to the public presentation and not engage in debate. Whether you're for or against the proposed bylaw, during the course of the public hearing, council would ask you not display any outbursts as a courtesy to all present this evening, or this afternoon, sorry. Council asks you treat all speakers with respect and neither cheer or applaud when you agree with the speaker's presentation, nor jeer or boo when you disagree with the speaker's presentation. Council wishes to ensure every speaker has a fair opportunity to be heard, that the environment at the public hearing is a positive one, and individuals do not feel uncomfortable or intimidated from expressing their views, either in support of or in opposition to the proposed bylaw. Again, council will not tolerate comments or behaviors that are intimidating or create a negative environment which deters people from speaking. No presentations or submissions will be received by council on the proposed bylaw after the motion for termination of the public hearing for the proposed bylaw has been adopted. This afternoon, there's one item on the agenda, Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2022, number 20141. It proposes a text amendment to the current comprehensive development CD31 zoning to facilitate 5 residential units on the subject property without reliance on bonus density provisions. As of noon on October 3rd, no items of correspondence have been received in response to this application.
Thank you. Well done. So for the first time, I would invite anybody who would like to come up and speak regarding this matter. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to come forward? Okay, for the second time, I'll invite anyone who would like to speak to come forward. And for the third and final time, I'd invite anyone who would like to speak to come forward. Seeing none, we've received no correspondence. So ask for a motion to terminate the public hearing for the Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2022, number 2000.141. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Greer, seconded by Councillor O'Brien. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Once the public hearing is adjourned, council cannot entertain further submissions or correspondence from the public on the proposed bylaws. At the conclusion of the public hearing, ask for a motion to adjourn, and I'm asking for a motion to adjourn. So I need a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Councillor Greer, Councillor Wilson, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the October 3rd meeting of council. Just wanted to take a few seconds here to make a couple of comments since this is the last meeting of the term for this council. And since also there's a couple of councilors that won't be seeking re-election. So I wanted to make a couple of comments. First off, I want to tell you how proud I am to have worked with all of you. We have not always agreed, but I believe we did it in a proper manner and protocol was followed. We worked together on so many items and accomplished more than almost any other council in the past. We saw so many changes which not necessary to go through, but it shows that a group, even when you have differing views, can focus and achieve amazing things. And we did do that. So I can only tell you that it has been the best council that I've worked with, and for that matter, the best council that I've seen. So I want to thank you all very much. And I wish those who are running in the next term good luck, and we will continue on with the meeting. The consent agenda. I have 4 items on the consent agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. We can take all 4 items if we wish. Councillor Patterson, seconded by Councillor O'Brien. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Delegations. We have 1 delegation this afternoon. Mr. John Horn. Is he not online? I assumed it was a Zoom one when I didn't see anybody here. All right, well, if he shows up in a little bit, then I'll move it on the schedule at that point in time. But for right now, we'll bypass that delegation. Reports. Chief, if you would, please. Mini minors, just keep thinking mini minors.
Thank you, Your Worship. On the agenda today, we have a report to award the purchase contract for 3 fire department command utility vehicles. Fire department command utility vehicles are on a 6-year replacement schedule, as that's estimated to provide optimal balance between reliability and safety in conjunction with the trade-in or sale value. The replacement of these vehicles is identified in the current 2022 to 2026 financial plan, which has been approved by council. A request for proposals was issued for the replacement of the 3 vehicles, and 1 proposal was received. So in accordance with the City of Parksville purchasing policy, the award of contracts greater than $100,000 must be approved by council. And the recommendations are as per the agenda.
Thank you. I need a mover and a seconder. We could take all 4 at the same time. Councillor Greer, seconded by Councillor Patterson. Discussion? Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, through the mayor, to Mark Norris. Just a question regarding the trade-in values, Mark. It was says on page 22, the trade-in values for each truck was an average of $27,000. So, but then it says further on in the report, or they could be possibly sold to other departments or something like that. Is there any decision been made, or whether you're just going to go after the trade-in value as proposed by Parksville Chrysler, or are you going to try and sell off separately?
To Councillor O'Brien, through your worship, the trade values are the minimum revenue that we would receive, disposal revenue that we would receive. We do have interest in at least 1 of the vehicles, possibly 2 at this time. The way we structure it is that if we sell the vehicle, we will receive better than the trade value, including the equipment that goes with the vehicle. So all those costs would be recovered. So the trade values actually represent the minimum revenue that we would achieve.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions? All right, I'll call the question for all 4 items. All those in favor? Carried. Thanks, Chief. Councillor O'Brien, if you would introduce the report for the grant and aid.
Thank you. Along with Councillor Greer and myself, we reviewed the grant applications for fall 2022. We received 5 requests for funding from the Aerosmith Fine Arts, Oceanside Community Makerspace Society, the Parksville and District Historical Society, the Ravensong Aquatic Club, and the Wonderful World of Books. To that end, after meeting with Councillor Greer and having discussion on the various applications, we came up with the following approved amounts. Oceanside Community Makerspace Society, $500. Parksville and District Historical Society, $1,500. Ravensong Aquatic Club, $500. For the grand total of $2,500, which is the amount to be, the maximum amount to be dispersed at this time. It is Councillor Greer's and my decision that this is the allocation, and we seek council approval.
Thank you. I'm taking it that you're going to make the 2 recommendations.
Yes, I will. I'll do that as well. Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Greer. Any discussion? I never envy this job when it has to be done, but congratulations on doing it. I'll call the question. All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Mr. Russell, please.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Council. The following is a follow-up report for 285 Despard Avenue West. Since the date of the last council meeting, the developer has hosted an open house. They undertook 2 newspaper advertisements as well as did mail-out notice to properties within 50 meters. The property is currently zoned neighborhood commercial NC1. They're proposing a new comprehensive development zone to allow for the inclusion of multifamily residential for up to 4 stories in height. Since the date of that meeting, there was 1 formal written correspondence received. Further details is provided in the applicant's agenda package. The recommendations are per the agenda.
Thank you. I need a mover and a seconder for the recommendations. Moved by Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor O'Brien. Discussion? Councillor Wilson, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So just a couple of thoughts I'd have that, not sure if it's even possible, but it would be nice if there could be a certain percentage of affordable housing included in that. And the other thing that I'd really prefer to see is Energy Step Code 4, given that we have another application coming right after this one, and they have moved right to Step Code 4. Step Code 3 is mandatory at the end of the year. So that's what I would like to see. Thank you.
Any comments, Director?
Well, council is a body, so if the applicant will need to respond to that, and after the public hearing, council can make its decision.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor of the recommendation? Oh, sorry. There's a line in the glass that when you got your hand up, I can't see. I apologize for that. So
I'll reach forward from now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through the mayor to Mr. Russell. I noticed there's 1 piece of correspondence suggesting that the developer will consider actually maybe adding more of a treed area inside the courtyard to soften the impact of all the concrete and so forth. So at that time, the developer has already seen that copy of that letter and so forth. So at that time, when, as Councillor Wilson suggested, whether they ought to go to step 4, they would also, at that time on the landscaping contract, would supply information regarding what kind of landscaping and trees are going to be included at that time. Would that not be right?
May I worship through to Councillor Bryan? So the landscaping details would typically be addressed at the time of development permit application. And there's very detailed guidelines on landscaping as well as how to address adjacencies to other single family properties.
Right, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Mr. Russell, please.
Certainly, if a mayor worship, for council consideration is a follow-up report respecting 413 Wembley Road. The subject property is currently zoned single-family residential RS1. The applicant is proposing to rezone it to residential high-density RH4D. The subject property is designated for high-density residential in the official community plan. The conceptual plan shows 116 units in the form of 2 4-story apartment buildings. Since this application was last presented to council, newspaper ads have occurred in 2 editions of the Parksville Qualicum News, as well as mail-out was delivered per one of Canada Post's mail-out route to 794 unique mailing addresses. 48 people attended the event, 38 persons formally signed in on the attendance sheet, and 2 comment sheets were submitted from attendees. For further details are provided in the applicant's summary report, and the recommendations are per the agenda.
Thank you. Need a mover and a seconder for the recommendations. Councillor Wilson, Councillor Greer. Discussion. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you,
Didn't mean to
Worship.
catch you off guard, but you made
Well,
it.
you probably knew I would have something to say.
I figured it.
I just want to say that I really appreciate the detail that this developer puts into their proposals. It just makes it really easy, and they went out of their way to reach over 700 people in the surrounding area rather than just 50 meters. So it's nice that they're going to step code 4, and the zoning is actually pretty close, what they're asking for. So I think we'll see what the public says. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Bylaws, first and second readings for Plan Parksville Amendment Bylaw 2022, number 1492.7, map and text amendment to mixed-use neighborhood commercial at 285 Avenue West. I need a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Greer, second by Councillor O'Brien. I'd ask for any questions, and if none, then I will ask the question. All those in favor? Carried. Bylaws again, first and second reading, zoning and development amendment bylaw 2022, number 2000.142, map and text amendment to comprehensive development CD 34 at 285 Despard Avenue. I need a mover and a seconder for that recommendation. Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Greer. Call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And keep going on second reading, zoning and development amendment bylaw 2022, number 2000.137, map and amendment bylaw to residential high density RHD 4 at 413 Wembley Road. I need a mover and a seconder for that recommendation. Councillor Greer, seconded by Councillor Wilson. All those in favor? Carried. Third reading, zoning and development amendment bylaw 2022, number 2000.134, map and text amendment to comprehensive development CD 32 at 456 Island Highway West. I need a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Greer. All those in favor? Carried. Third reading, zoning and amendment bylaw number 2022, number 2000.141, text and amendment to comprehensive development CD 31 at 243 Corfield Street. I need a mover and a seconder for that recommendation. Councillor Greer, second by Councillor Patterson. Call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Final adoption for permissive taxation exemption bylaw 2022, number 1581, for the 2023 permissive tax exemptions. I need a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Patterson, second by Councillor O'Brien. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, I have two motions for council to consider this afternoon. First one is the support for the Legion's Remembrance Day event. Just to give you a little background before I get into, no, I'll do the mover and seconder. I'm moving that staff be authorized to work with the Legion to secure appropriate professional traffic control support for the Remembrance Day Parade road closure, and that a one-time grant up to $2,000 be authorized to cover the costs of traffic services this year. I need a seconder. Councillor Patterson. Okay, I'll give you the background on this. The Legion is experiencing challenges securing required traffic control services. It's now been a rule that for road closures, they have to have certified traffic control people. And for the Remembrance Day parade and event, they would require this. And we're figuring that it could cost up to as much as $2,000, but whatever it comes to, that's what we would provide to them. I'm recommending this, so I need any further discussions. All those in favor? Carried. Notice of motion, my second one is financial amenity contributions from developers. I'll make the motion to recommendation that council advise developers applying for rezoning or OCP amendments. They are expected to demonstrate a community benefit from their proposal, and where there is a monetary contribution to the city, the minimum amount for the multi-family housing development should be at least $1,200 per unit, or where where a combination of in-kind and monetary contributions are made, a prorated value of at least $1,200 be offered as a guidance from council. And number two, that staff be directed to establish an amenity contribution reserve fund starting in 2023 that separately tracks this money for allocation to community amenities or spending as authorized by council during the budgetary process. I need a seconder for that. Councillor Greer. And I'll explain what I'm proposing here is the fact that right now somebody says, I'm going to make a contribution to the fire hall, or I'm going to make a contribution to sidewalks, or I'm going to make a contribution to parks. It actually, most of that goes back to general funds. What I'm suggesting is the full amount that the contribution goes into a separate reserve account. And that reserve account will be allocated out according to the feelings of council rather than at the time of budget, rather than just arbitrarily coming up with that. I think it's a good way for us to be able to guide contributions in the way that will help us the best for these areas. So if there's any other comments, Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Your Worship. And while I agree with this, my question through you to our CEO or finance is, do we have any other similar that we're tracking in different allocations rather than just general or water, sewer, parks, et cetera?
Please.
Thank you. If I may, Your Worship, through you to Councillor Patterson. One example would be the equipment reserve that we have in operations. In discussions with the Director of Finance, we're actually going to be bringing something forward in 2023 to create some more of these types of reserves so that it kind of helps for future planning. So instead of it just going into general revenue, we would be hoping to see that kind of trend. One of the reasons why we're waiting a little bit to do it for the broader sort of corporate entity is that we're hoping to tie it with our asset management. And we've just brought a staff person on approved by council in a term position to help us get a better sense of what those reserves should be saving for. So this would be in line, I think, with the plans that we have for the future budgeting processes.
Follow up?
Just a statement, Your Worship, thank you. In the past, I mentioned with our community park, we do some charging for some different events and such. And now with the community theater and everything there, I can see that that might be an opportunity as well, so that it specifically goes back into the community park, the funds that are generated. So I wanted just to kind of mention that, as this is obviously our last council meeting of this term, and I wanted it to just be out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson and Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question to you is, how did you come up with the 1,200?
That has been the contribution that most of the developers have been paying over the last year or two that I've been noticing and watching it. There's no we can adjust that amount to anything we want on an ongoing basis, but right now it's $1,200. Just as quite frankly, it's just a number at this point in time. Yep. Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Ed. And I do understand the intent of this. What concerns me somewhat is Councillor Wilson stole my thunder on that one, so mark that one down. She beat me on that question of the 1,200, because I note in one of the applications we have here, the developer is proposing 1,600 per unit. And so this is saying, I understand it's saying at least 1,200, but the number is somewhat arbitrary. So my question being is that up until this time, I've been very confident in our Director of Planning and so forth, seeking amenity contributions. And as we know, many times they are dedicated to the fire department and so forth. But they goes into the general revenue fund, which then council has that ability to allocate as required, and dedicating it to infrastructure, as our CAO has pointed out as well. So I would really like, before just passing this, I would like to have a staff report on the pros and cons of the ramifications of actually putting this in policy instead of leaving it to our Director of Planning and staff to actually work with the developers to see what may or may not be appropriate. Because I've always, actually every recommendation by planning that I've seen in the last 4 years, I've always applauded, and they've done it. So without having a policy in place. So until I heard from staff, like what this could do or what this might affect us, does it put us on like automatically we're going to put a $1,200 fee per unit? Does that say to the development community out there that regardless of any application you put in, you're going to be charged a minimum of $1,200? Is that going to perhaps slow the inventory of available housing in Parksville? Is it going to send a warning to them that right up front that this is what we're going to? I would like staff comments to confirm what that might look like, and so I need more information is what I'm getting at. So that's what I would suggest at this point.
I hear the comment. The reality is that we've been doing this all along, except that it's just been going into general funds. Even when it says that it's a contribution to the fire department, it still just goes into general funds. And in fact, the fire department doesn't see that money whatsoever. It just goes on. This is being specific to say we're putting it in a reserve account so that we can accumulate the money so that we can use it any way the council sees fit to be spent for contribution. I think it makes all kinds of sense to do that. I don't see the need to prolong this. It's, the $1,200. First off, the amenity contribution is not something you can say you must give $1,200 for anything. It's just not set up that way. It is a voluntary contribution that we ask for, so that the developer will come to us and say, and we will say, we would appreciate a $1,200 contribution for doing an OCP amendment or a rezoning. and they would provide that, or they wouldn't. They could say no, and there's nothing we can do. We cannot legally turn down their rezoning application or their OCP amendment because they didn't provide us with the $1,200. It is just the way it goes. It's against the law to demand it. It's just something that we look for, we ask for, and hopefully in most cases, in the vast majority of cases, the developers understand why it's there, and the developers will make that contribution. $1,200 if we decide we want to move it up. And in fact, the one that's going for $1,600 would not change because it says at least $1,200. So that wouldn't change from what they've already committed in my mind. So I think this is just, we're just moving it forward and getting it done so that we have the funds starting, because there's a fair amount of construction and applications going on. So why not take advantage of this rather than waiting until February or March till we get a report from staff and then start it at that point in time? We may have missed out on some significant contributions that could have went to the fire department, to the parks, to wherever other capital purchases we're going to make. Councillor Greer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think this is long overdue. I think we should have been doing this for a number of years now. I think it's a great idea, and I certainly will approve it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Councillor O'Brien, you have another comment? Please,
Thank
feel free.
you, and thanks for the explanation. I still feel that I'd be more confident in having this as being forwarded from staff instead of from a council, because the staff is way more experienced at it than we do. So if this was a recommendation by staff that this would be the way to go, I'd be more comfortable supporting it as it is now. I just, as I say, I need more staff members. See, when staff do a recommendation like this, they have a full backup explanation as to the pros and cons of it. So, and that's what I'm missing here. So I can't support it without that background information.
Fine, I understand. Any other comments? The only caution I have on waiting for a staff report, and I understand that comment, if it was a much more complicated request, I could see that. My concern here is, in fact, that we know what the staff schedule, work schedule is like, and to take the time to do another full report on something that's going to come back and say virtually the same thing, at least in my brief conversations with the various members of staff, and ask them what's the ramifications of something like this. I can't see delaying it, but I'll leave that up to council to make the decision. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Councillor Patterson, please introduce your motion.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I'll introduce the motion and then pass over to Fire Chief Norris for a little bit of background information. Sure. So the recommendation on the agenda is that council support the UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund grant application by the Parksville Volunteer Fire Department for funding of the Bullocks Digital Fire Extinguisher Panel and the Bullocks Digital Attack Satellite Panel, and that council support the Bullocks Fire Training Screens project and commits to the provision of overall grant management of the project.
I'm certainly glad you read that rather than me. Chief, please explain.
Thanks, Your Worship. So what this is in previous years, or this is the second year that I know of this grant being available for fire departments. So historically, there has not been a lot of grant availability for fire departments. This particular grant, we were not eligible for last year, but they've revised the way the grant is, the criteria for the grant, and we are eligible for up to $30,000 this year. The infrastructure that we're looking at here is to augment infrastructure we already have at our training facility and to improve our ability to offer public education services through fire extinguisher training. There is no cost to the city. This is supportive of the grant, and we're hoping that we are successful.
Thank you. I need a seconder for Councillor Patterson's. Councillor Wilson, please. There we go. Any other comments from anybody? Okay, well, I think it's a great idea. So that's my view. If there's no other comments, let's call the question. All those in favor? Carried, unanimously carried. All right. So do we have any other new business from council? Councillor Patterson?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to mention, as I'm not able to attend, and that this Thursday is the check presentation from the Beach Fest organization. And it's one that I dearly love and appreciate, getting to see all the different organizations and the funds raised by the Gate ambassador, or going through as Gate ambassadors. So if anyone would like to be in attendance on that, that's Thursday afternoon at 2. And like I said, it was obviously one of my liaison positions that was near and dear to my heart, as I've been working with them for, as I date myself, close to 20 years now. Thank you.
I will definitely be there, so thank you. Just on one last piece of business, I take note that Councillor Fraz, who's not here because he's about, I don't know, somewhere past Nanaimo today, riding his bike. The last I heard was the city of Parksville and Qualicum, the cities of Parksville and Qualicum Beach have raised $14,000 towards the Tour de Rock. We should all be very proud of our communities for contributing to that. There's nothing else, then I will just provide a reminder. This is, as I said at the beginning, the last regular meeting for this council. Advanced voting takes place on October the 5th and October the 12th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Parksville Community Center, located at 132 Jensen Avenue East. And general voting day is October the 15th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at both the Community Center and the Parksville Baptist Church. More information is available on the city's website. Thank you. Special business. I now need a mover and a seconder to go into a closed meeting. Councillor Greer, second by Councillor Wilson. All those in favor?